Russian freighter evades Turkish blockade, sneaks military supplies into Black Sea under cover of darkness. Russian troops make gains near Bakhmut, but Institute for the Study of War concludes they won't be able to encircle the city anytime soon. Russian army sends 80-year-old gun mounts to Ukraine on 70-year-old tractors. Will they survive Ukrainian firepower? Write your opinion in the comments. A Russian freighter glided silently into the Black Sea, carrying a suspected cargo of military resources for Russia's incursion into Ukraine. The vessel, Sparta 4, was loaded in Syria and embarked on its journey under the supervision of a Russian Navy convoy. Despite Turkey's decision to block Russian warships from accessing the water passage connecting the Mediterranean and the Black Sea, the delivery of military equipment persists. A recent consignment of military gear seems to have eluded detection and made its way to a Russian base via the Black Sea. The ship in question, MV Sparta 4, which is affiliated with the Russian government, traversed the Bosporus Strait under the cover of darkness. Despite attempts at concealment, her voyage was monitored by defense experts, and her passing was captured on camera by a reputable ship spotter and defense specialist, Yorak Isaac. His photographic evidence provides valuable insights, corroborating or augmenting other sources. The Bosporus Strait, which cuts through Istanbul and falls under Turkish sovereignty, has been off-limits to warships due to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. In lieu of using naval vessels, Russia is employing auxiliary and commercial ships to ferry military supplies through the strait. Naval News has obtained evidence that suggests MV Sparta 4, the latest vessel in question, is carrying military equipment and/or other resources for war. Its destination is anticipated to be Novorossiysk, a base heavily involved in the invasion of Ukraine. Russian military supplies keep flowing to the Black Sea despite closure. Sparta 4, one of the 4 ships possessed by SC South LLC, a Russian shipping firm, is actively engaged in conveying military equipment. The U.S. government has included the company and the vessel on the Specially Designated Nationals List, SDN, in response to the Ukraine invasion. According to Russian media, the ship brought relief materials to Tartus, Syria, after the severe earthquake on February 6. Shipping containers filled with aid supplies were visible on the deck. Afterwards, the ship was loaded with distinct military vehicles at the Russian naval station in Tartus. During the loading process, the ship's large holds were exposed, indicating a heavy load. As the ship passed through the Bosporus, it had a declared draft of 6.2 meters, 20 feet, indicating a substantial weight. Photographic proof supports this. Although shipping containers were stacked on the deck, the contents in the hold and the containers remain undisclosed. On March 1, 2023, prior to entering the Bosporus, the ship was seen sailing in the eastern Mediterranean, away from Tartus. A Russian Navy Project 20380 Staroguzhchi-class missile corvette appeared to escort it. The naval convoy strengthens suspicions of carrying sensitive cargo. The vessel's operation is part of a recurring trend. Sparta 4 is linked to a ship that transported Russian S-300 air defense missiles in August 2022. That shipment, transported by Sparta 2, also started from Tartus and arrived at Novorossiysk. Previously, Sparta 4 was detected performing comparable suspected arms transfers to Novorossiysk. Russian troops will not be able to encircle Bakhmut in near future. Based on their analysis, the Institute for the Study of War, ISW, has concluded that Russian troops will not be able to besiege Bakhmut in the immediate future. Details: Russian forces have apparently gained a sufficient positional advantage to execute a turning maneuver against certain sections of Bakhmut. However, they have not yet compelled Ukrainian forces to withdraw and are unlikely to besiege the city soon. On March 4th, Russian forces made a single confirmed limited advance near Bakhmut. As reported by ISW on March 3rd, Ukrainian forces are likely preparing for a controlled retreat from particularly challenging areas in eastern Bakhmut. It is uncertain at this time whether Ukrainian commanders have decided to withdraw. According to ISW, Russian progress in Bakhmut has been slow and steady and does not indicate that Russian forces will soon be able to besiege the city, let alone capture it through frontal attacks. Instead, ISW believes that the Russians have managed to advance close enough to critical lines of communication from the northeast to threaten Ukrainian retreat routes in a traditional turning maneuver. According to the Institute for the Study of War, ISW, Russian troops are unlikely to encircle Bakhmut in the near future, despite their positional advantage. While they have made some limited advances, they have not yet forced Ukrainian forces to withdraw. ISW believes that the Russians are instead attempting a turning movement to threaten Ukrainian withdrawal routes. This differs from an encirclement, which aims to trap and destroy enemy forces. The Ukrainian command has indicated that it will likely withdraw from particularly difficult sectors of Bakhmut rather than risk encirclement. However, ISW suggests that the Ukrainians may still be able to hold their positions in the city if they choose to try. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu recently met with Eastern Military District (EMD) Commander Colonel General Rustam Muradov in western Donetsk Oblast, possibly to assess the extent of Russian losses near Volodar and the possibility of further offensives in that area. ISW notes that Russian forces suffered significant losses in a recent offensive near Volodar and that personnel and equipment constraints may be limiting their ability to make advances on that front. ISW also suggests that Shoigu's visit to Ukraine may indicate a lack of confidence in Chief of the General Staff and Theater Commander of all Russian forces in Ukraine Army General Valery Gerasimov, who would typically be making frontline visits or accompanying Shoigu. The Russian army is retrofitting 80-year-old gun mounts originally built for patrol boats onto 70-year-old armored tractors and sending them to Ukraine to be captured by Ukrainian forces. These upgunned, tracked MTLBs are further evidence of Russia's equipment crisis as it struggles to make up for its losses in Ukraine. The MTLBs are thinly armored, with their steel hull half an inch thick at its thickest, making them vulnerable to attacks from Ukrainian missile teams, tankers, and artillery gunners. The MTLB's low range makes them less effective in ground engagements, and they lack a radar to guide their gunfire, making them ineffective as an air defense system. The Russians have resorted to retrofitting the MTLBs due to their low supply of modern armored vehicles and an inability to build new ones quickly enough to make up for their losses.